Hello everyone and welcome to some drama from the chess world. Not a lot, but a reasonable amount. We are in the finals of the first ever FIDE online chess Olympiad, and it's a very nice game from the second match between India and Russia, Vidit versus Nepo. And it's quite the game, and we're going to talk about what happened in the entire match after we check out the game. So without further ado, let's check it out. Vidit with the white pieces opens with d4. We have knight to f6, but first, sorry about that. Knight to f6 and c4. We have g6 and the knight to c3, going for the Gruenfeld. So the Gruenfeld is on the board. We have d5, captures, and e4. Going for the main line, we have captures, and now bishop to g7, preparing c5 to strike in the center. We have bishop to e3 and c5 now. So this is all very standard stuff. We have queen d2 and now queen to a5, putting more pressure on white's center. We have knight to f3, developing while defending, and here Nepo just castles. We have rook to c1, now adding another defender to the c3 pawn, preparing d5, and here bishop to g4 by Nepo saying that, okay, if you go d5, I might be interested in capturing your knight and messing up your pawn structure. But this is exactly what Vidit goes for. He pushes d5 and now allows this ruining of Vidit's pawn structure on the king side, and this is in fact the most often played move here, but Nepo very rarely plays what is often and goes for b5. And now what's happening here? He's giving up the c5 pawn, but what does he get by this? Vidit goes for it. Bishop captures on c5, now also putting pressure on e7, but now comes rook to c8. So what is Nepo's idea? If the bishop moves, there will be a triple attack on the c5 pawn, so it obviously has something to do with that. So bishop to d4 or bishop to b4 is an idea here. Vidit goes for bishop to b4, attacks Nepo's queen, and queen back to c7, now clearing the path for the a pawn to start marching forward. We have knight to d4. Here Vidit doesn't allow the ruining of the pawn structure, and now Nepo continues with his pushing of the pawns. We have a5. We have bishop back to a3, and now b4, everything completely forced. And this is still not a new game. All of this was played before in last year's Grand Swiss, FIDE Grand Swiss between Andrei Esipenko and Dwayne Jones. But we're gonna mention that when we get to the fork. So here we have bishop to b2. If you go for this c captures on b and open up an attack on the queen, as the bishop does defend the rook here, you get queen e5 now with a double attack on the knight. And even after the trade, captures with check, queen to c2, getting rid of the defense of the knight by attacking the bishop on c8, for example, bishop d7, and now bishop to b2. It is playable, but now a captures on b4, and black can be very happy with what's happening here. So instead, after b4, we have just bishop back to b2 by Vidit, and then now comes queen to b6 by Nepo. And even though Vidit is still up a pawn, you kind of feel that Nepo really got enough for the sacrificed pawn. And here, this is where the game takes a different turn. In the Grand Swiss last year, Esipenko went c4 here, and he won a game against Dwayne Jones. But here, instead, we have bishop to b5 by Vidit, and it is as of move 17 that we have a completely new game, which is also a very interesting move because it kind of seems like it blunders a piece. Why not just capture the defender of the bishop and then eliminate the bishop? So it's a very interesting idea. Feel free to pause the video here and figure out, is it okay to grab the knight and the bishop, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who decided that it's okay to go for it, it's most definitely not. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, the reason why it's not is because if you go for it, bishop captures, queen captures, and then now queen captures here, well, there's the problem of this queen-bishop battery, just c4, and black either loses a queen or gets checkmated, and there's nothing more to be done here. So that's why it's not okay to go for the piece. Vidit is on top of all the tactics with bishop to b5. So first e5 by Nepo. He tries to get rid of the defender of the bishop this way and also closes up this diagonal, but now d captures and e6 en passant. We have bishop captures on e6, and now a trade. Captures, and now c4, adding a defender to the bishop and offering a trade of dark square bishops, which Nepo goes for. We have bishop captures, queen captures, and now finally knight to c6. And while you could castle now, Vidit says there's no rush. Let's go after Nepo's real weakness, that is the e6 pawn. So queen to f6, going after the pawn. And now knight to d4, defending it with the knight and the queen, but allowing Vidit this very nice bishop to d7 idea. Now with a double attack on the rook and on the pawn. Here we have rook to f8 attacking Vidit's queen and queen to e5. And here we reach the position from the thumbnail, and Nepo goes for his rook captures on f2 idea. b3 is one possibility, trying to create a pass pawn. Or just force open some lines, but Nepo's idea also is a very nice one. He plays rook captures on f2, and what he wants here is to get Vidit's king in front of the queen to, well, be able to do some very nasty discoveries. And although it looks very ugly, it's like in that game we've shown where Kasparov played against Carlsen, where Carlsen had to play that king captures on h2. It's same here. Vidit has to play king captures on f2. And go in front of some nasty discoveries, but there aren't all that many of them. For example, if you go knight c6, it seems like you can win the queen, but not really. Sorry about that arrow. c5, and there's just not all that much to do. For example, knight captures here. You're gonna capture the bishop as well, but now b7 just wins the game easy for black. For example, rook b8, you're gonna go here with check. King f7, you're gonna go rook to c7, and once you unpin, you're gonna go rook to d1. And now there's not much you can do about avoiding the knight. If you move the knight, let's say knight to f6, you're just going to get a nice rook to c8 check. And if you try something like, let's say, knight to b6, still doesn't help. Rook to d6 is coming, and you're either losing the knight or rook to c8 check is coming. So you can't very well go for this. So instead, after this king captures on f2, instead we have rook to f8 check. And here Vidit really has to decide what to do here. Does he go back or does he go up the board? Now it's a very counterintuitive to march your king up the board, but king to g3 is actually very interesting here. But it's so ugly to play that, well, not a lot of people would play this, especially in a rapid game where you have very little time on the clock. But if king g3, then knight e2 check forces the king further up the board. King h4, queen to d8 check, but now you can defend with queen to g5. And here you have to give up the bishop back and then continue the game. Rook c to f1, trade off the rooks, and then enjoy, as you're still up the exchange, although your king is on a very bad square. However, you should be able to push for advantage here, but it's extremely hard, like I said, especially in a rapid game. Like if black just gets a few moves in, he already has a pass pawn, and it could get very dangerous. But the route Vidit chose, he played king to e3, offering even more nasty discoveries. Now there's a double check possible with knight to f5, also a double check possible with knight to c2 check, as it would be a check from both the knight and the queen. Nepo goes for knight to f5 with check. And now again, what do you play here? Whatever you play, queen to e3 is coming next, because both the knight and the queen guard that square now. So king d3, queen to e3 with check, king to c2, and now knight to d4 with check. We have king to b1, and now queen to d3 with check. King to a1, and here Nepo, of course, made a very nice rook lift, rook to f2, because if you try something like knight to c2 check, white would be more than happy to give you the rook. It's not a problem, because after bishop captures on e6, black is completely lost. Here you can go captures, bring a rook into the game, but white is up a rook, and black is getting checkmated very, very quickly. For example, king g8, you're going to go queen e8 check here, and this is mate. So after king to a1, we have rook to f2 by Nepo. Now maybe with some ideas of rook captures here, followed by queen here, check, check, maybe knight coming to b3. A lot of things possible, but he still has to do something, as bishop captures on e6 is coming. So this is exactly what Vidit does. Bishop captures on e6. And now not capturing here the knight, because if knight captures, then rook h to d1 first, getting the rook into the game, and now you're just completely lost once queen captures comes and the other rook comes into the game. There's not much you can do here, and this doesn't help you. Like you could go for rook captures on a2 and hope to get some sort of a perpetual here, but after king to b1, queen b3, now you can finally block with queen to b2, and there's not much you can do now. You're just gonna lose this game. So after bishop captures on e6, Nepo goes king to f8. Now the rook on f2 prevents the rook from checking the king along the f file. And now queen d6 check by Vidit. King g7, queen to e7 check. And now the problem is Nepo cannot go for king to h6, because if king h6, queen h4 check picks up the rook on f2. So Nepo forced back with king to h8, and now again queen to d8 with check. And here we do have a repetition. King g7, queen e7 check, king h8, queen d8 check, king g7, and queen to e7 check. And it was in this position on move 37 that Vidit and Nepo agreed to a draw. And while this game ended in a draw, although it was extremely wild, a lot of things have happened in both of the matches. And now we're gonna show a little bit of what happened. So these are the standings of both matches. As you can see, the one below is the first match. As you can see, all the 6 games ended in a draw. So Artemiev Hari Krishna, Hampi Koneru, Katrina Lahno, Hari Kadronavali and Alexandra Kostenyuk, Alexei Sarana and Rameshbabu Pragnananda, Deshmukh Divya drew with Polina Shuvalova, and of course we've seen the game Nepo versus Vidit. So all 6 games ended in a draw. And you have the first one where you can see that not all games ended in a draw, but the problem is that aside from the 3 games that were drawn, Shuvalova defeated Divya Deshmukh, Nihal Sarin defeated Esipenko Andrei, Nihal lost to Esipenko Andrei, and Alexandra Goryachkina defeated Hampi Koneru. The problem is both Nihal Sarin and Divya Deshmukh disconnected from their games, and well, they lost on time. And Hampi Koneru also had a lot of connection issues, and even though she was able to reconnect later on, she lost a lot of time, and you know, just her position deteriorated, and Alexandra Goryachkina won the game. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say if the same thing wouldn't happen even without disconnect. But the problem is, India and Russia were both proclaimed winners of the 2020 FIDE Online Olympiad by Arkady Dvorkovich, which is very odd, as well, such a thing never happened in, well, I don't think in any sport. Because so far, when one of the players disconnected, I mean, you disconnect, you lose. But here, more than one player disconnected, and the Dvorkovich's decision was that we're not gonna award Russia the win. We're actually gonna just make both teams the winner. So it is an odd decision. We still haven't had an official statement from Arkady Dvorkovich, FIDE president, and I will keep you informed whenever we hear something. But here we have some, here we have some tweets just to check that out. So you can see Levon Arounian of Armenia is very, very dissatisfied with this. He says, I guess like always, some of us are less disconnected than others. A point being that India reached the semifinals by defeating Armenia, and Martirosyan also disconnected in his game, it was just he disconnected, so he lost, and India went to the semifinals. And here, now that 3 of the Indian players got disconnected, Arkady Dvorkovich said that we're not just gonna award Russia the win. We're gonna make both India and Russia joint winners. And Nepomniachtchi here tweeted that it's a smart decision to please Indian chess community, meanwhile forgetting about other fans and players, a selective nobleness, saying that India has so many fans in the chess world that it would be foolish of FIDE president to, you know, just say, okay, you lost due to disconnect issues. And here you can see that Anand says, we are the champions, congratulations Russia, which can definitely be misinterpreted as they are joint winners. It's not that India are the champions and that Russia is like in second place, but pretty much everyone is tweeting it like that. For example, here is a tweet from the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He says, congratulations to our chess players for winning the FIDE Online Chess Olympiad. Their hard work and dedication are admirable. Their success will surely motivate other chess players, and he would like to congratulate the Russian team as well. So while it is hard to figure out who's congratulating who and what actually happened, the official statement for the moment is, I don't think for the moment, I think it actually is that they both won gold. So they are both winners of the first ever FIDE Online Olympiad. And I guess like it's a reasonable decision, because you can't just, I mean, what are your other options? Your other option is to either make Russia the winner, or to, you know, say, okay, both matches are a draw, let's force a random Armageddon on one of the boards and play Armageddon. but that's like also weird because if three of the Indian players had problems with their connection. If Dvorkovich, for example, proclaimed that both the matches were a draw and then Russia lost the match in Armageddon, then of course the Russian fans and the Russian community would be very angry. So it is a very tricky situation, but it's not that odd. I mean, we've had a lot of problems since this whole situation in the world happened, and since chess, turned completely online, and we'll see more problems like these. And it's hard to say. Will we respect the decision that if a player disconnects, then that's a loss, or will sometimes people have to step in and do something like this? So it's definitely a bold decision by FIDE president Arkady Dvorkovich. So I'm interested, what's your opinion in this whole matter? Was it a good decision? Was it a bad decision? How would you handle the situation, and so on? But yeah, congratulations to both India and Russia on winning the FIDE Online 2020 Olympiad. That's the game and the match behind, and the story behind the match. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Eric Novak, Corey Tolliver, David Kimura, Gida Schechter, and Manfred Christ for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the good stuff, checking up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.